Democrats and Republicans don't agree on much these days, but Nevada's congressional delegation has found at least some common ground regarding the foreclosure crisis. They agree that Wall Street bankers are mostly to blame for the economic calamity now swirling around us. The I-Team's George Knapp continues our special project, Desert Underwater, with select comments from our Nevada representatives in Washington.
Of course, as we've been reporting, trillions of dollars sort of vanished, millions of jobs gone, untold numbers of Americans forced out of their homes and into bankruptcy. Democrats and Republicans may not agree on the proper role for government in all of this, but they do agree on just whose fingerprints were found at the scene of the crime, the bankers of Wall Street. And since causing the crisis, the banks have been even worse, they say, pulling dirty tricks to avoid mortgage modifications, accepting billions in bailout money, but failing to do what they promised.
We hear a lot of horror stories of getting paperwork in and then being told you're missing one page. That page goes in, then you're told you're missing another. By the time the packet's together, they're told that now your packet's out of date and you got to start over.
Congressman Joe Heck hired a professional real estate agent to work in his office to help constituents facing foreclosure. But what's needed, he says, is for Congress to pressure or force lenders to negotiate new mortgage deals with homeowners. Shelley Berkeley says her staff hears story after story of sneaky stuff pulled by banks on homeowners who are trying to do the right thing.
Why the lenders aren't standing in line so they could do mortgage modification for the people that I represent, so that we don't have whole neighborhoods decimated because people are moving out because they are in foreclosure and they can't afford their homes. There's also some of the banks, some of the lenders, they're in mortgage modification discussions, and then the homeowner gets a notice. They're working with the bank. They think that they're going to have some relief, and then they get notice that the bank sold the property out from under these families. That is an outrage.
Senator Dean Heller is not surprised so many people have taken to the streets. He thinks the law, as written, encourages banks to foreclose rather than negotiate. But what really bugs him are the bailouts.
That's the whole reason for this uprise and why you're seeing this Occupy movement, is that we are out there bailing out banks, we're out there bailing out Wall Street, we're out there bailing out big government, automotive industry, and so on and so forth. And what are we doing for the other 99%? I think they have a legitimate concerns.
Senate Majority Leader Harry Reid voted for the bailouts as a necessary evil, but says the banks took the money, then weaseled out of the deal.
We bailed out the banks to stop a situation that was horrible from getting worse. And part of the reason we bailed out the banks is they would have some resources to help homeowners and small business people. They have been a big flop. That's why we're looking now to community banks to help, because the great big banks have been clueless as to trying to help because they don't care, obviously. And some of the community banks, we've been getting a little bit of help for them recently, and that has been a help. But these big banks control so much that our bailing them out stopped, as I repeat, a situation from getting worse, but they have not let any of that money trickle down. They've kept it all.
They tend to agree the banks caused the problem, but when it comes to preventing it from happening again, things get a little murky. The fact is, Wall Street has 3,000 lobbyists in Washington, 5 lobbyists for every member of Congress. It hands out more money than any other source. The banks are now bigger, more concentrated, more powerful than when the crisis began, and have been able to resist calls for greater oversight, so far anyway. So, can Congress help distressed homeowners in Nevada? Tonight at 11, each Nevada member looks at one aspect that they think could be improved.
Oh, great ideas.
Okay.
Thank you, George.